friends. Hope you're doing well. So I don't know how many of you are American or follow American politics, but today was a bit of a show, to put it bluntly. And I gotta admit, I got caught up just doom scrolling. Was not good. And so if you watched yesterday's video, I'm talking about the practice of just making stuff. And oftentimes when I get stuck on the doom scrolling on the internet and just like looking at all the bad stuff that's happening in the world, I think of there's a musical called The Book of Mormon. And it was made by the guys who did South Park, or I guess who still do South Park, Matt Parker and Trey Stone. And there's a song in there called Turn It Off. And it's about suppressing your feelings. I'm trying to think of the PC way to say it, because I don't want to get it. YouTube is very specific about words you can and can't say in the first like hour long, but it's your sexual urges, we'll put it that way, but it's a little more sideways than that. And it's just a really clever, funny, witty song, and I think about that when I think about just doom scrolling. Is you just gotta turn it off, because like no good comes from it. No good comes from doom scrolling. You're not more informed. Like some of the time the information isn't terribly accurate, or it changes over the course of the day. So you have to turn it off. You have to go do anything else. So I want to get better at like figuring out some practices to do. So I guess the question I have for you, question of the day, making tea. I got some green tea today. The question I have for you today is when you want to distract yourself, what is your go-to? It's still a lot. But so what do you like to do? For me, I don't really have anything that's like hard-coded in my brain. I think working out a little bit, doing some hockey drills, has been a good thing to do. I want to get out more and create. I think that's part of the reason why I was thinking about buying a drone, was just because it's I don't jive super well with like going out to take pictures of like nature. Like that's not really interesting. Like I do have that other YouTube channel, which I'm going to start linking below in the description, where I just kind of make white noise videos. And I think that could be something I could do, I guess, because it's very zen to kind of sit, with some of those sounds for, 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, however long I need to get enough footage, to get enough audio samples, because I'm never just, the videos I'm making are like 10-hour long videos usually, but I'm never in one place for 10 hours, recording, obviously. Usually what I'll do is I'll try to get 2 to 5 minutes of a key sound, and then try to really think like a sound designer and really, scan the environment and really listen carefully, like what other sounds are there? Can I go get those? And try to record maybe a couple different angles of sound, so to speak, to create something that feels a little more realistic, or if not that, a little more immersive, And then the same with the video, I'll try to get a couple different angles, because, YouTube doesn't like it so much when you just have like a photo or one shot, because that was a problem I had with that channel. Back a couple years ago, I had like 200-300 videos on there, and then I got in trouble with the YouTube police, and they yelled at me for repetitive content or something like that, and I was like, what does that mean? And like they didn't give me like any feedback, so I just started deleting videos, and ended up having to delete like 200 some videos before they finally like let me out of YouTube jail. And that was kind of a bummer. And I think showing my face helped to show that I'm a real person who makes these things. It's just kind of my weird hobby, which I don't think it's that weird. It's just like it helps people sleep. Like whatever. It's the same with ASMR. It's equally weird, I guess. face and my dumb mouth rambling instead of, whatever weird noise I found that day that I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So, anyway, it just, turning it off, refocusing, going off, getting something I need to just, that's the problem with the lifestyle I have, is like, I'm either, like, working or not working, it's very, like, I mean, I have hobbies, but like right now, there's like, no, I can't really go play hockey, there's no concerts, which is like, those are two of my biggest hobbies. I'm trying to eat better, so I really can't go out and eat food. I guess I could cook food, but I don't really like to cook. Like, I'm an okay cook, I know how to cook, I'm just not interested in cooking. It just feels like a lot of effort for not a lot of reward, That's just kind of my take on it, I've never been super jazzed. I've never eaten food I've made and been like, this is the best food ever. I'm always just like, it's okay. Like, but it's not better than like just going somewhere to get a taco or, getting pizza. Like pizza. Even if I make pizza at home, I'd still rather go like Little Caesars. Like, that's, the bar's not very high. And I still am not really up and over it. So maybe I can't cook. Maybe I'm not that good of a cook. The grocery store near me, it's called Hy-Vee. They have like pre-made things. You just stick them in the oven. They're pretty good. So that's kind of like my main go-to if I'm like gonna cook, is that I'll get, it's like a chicken, and then it'll be like, they'll stuff it with something. So like, it's like a chicken breast stuffed with like ricotta, and then like spinach ricotta, and then it's like coated. I don't know what they coat it with. Maybe it's like a dip. Or they have one where they wrap it in bacon and stuff it with cheese. That's a pretty good one. So I'll get some of those, and then I'll make like a little side dish. I like to do some asparagus, which, that's not that fancy or that hard. One pro tip, get some asparagus, put a little bit of oil on it, and then sprinkle it with some taco seasoning. That's pretty good. Make taco asparagus. That's an invention that I made up. Anyway, so I'm just, I was thinking yesterday of like, okay, I do the hockey drills. I gotta come up with some other kind of drill to do with camera stuff. And so I'm like thinking today about like breaking stuff down of like, okay, like, so cameras, like there's the technical aspect and then there's the artistic aspect. Obviously we're more focused on the artistic aspect, but the technical aspect could come into play. Knowing how your camera works, knowing the menus, where everything is, why you would want certain settings. Like this camera can shoot in a number of different resolutions. It can shoot in a number of different quality levels. So it's like, okay, what quality level? Why do I want to be at that quality level? Like that's all good information to know. How to get there, how to change it. But then also like the artistic aspect of like learning to see light, learning to shape light. These are like, this, it's like this sucks, but like this, pretty nice. You get this nice shadowy fall off. Because some ASMR people just have like the overhead light on. And like also terrible. Granted, this is way too bright, but like, where you could do something moody, dramatic, get those sweet lens flares. I'd want it out of the shot though. So something maybe like up in here, atmospheric. It's kind of lighting more of the background. I don't know. I don't actually mind this. Get a good stretch in here. Oh yeah. You gotta stretch. You gotta work your mobility. That's important. If you're not doing that, get on the mobility stuff. It is a game changer for your life. Your quality of life will go right up to the roof if you start doing mobility work. I promise you. And it is not like it is free to do. There are a bajillion tutorials on the internet, on the YouTubes. Just get those stretches in. Get those mobility. Just Google like mobility work for beginners. And just do it for like a week, and like after a week you'd be like, how did I not do this before? Like, whoa, just my life is so much better now. It's amazing. It's best if you could do one thing. I mean, stay hydrated, get enough sleep, mobility work. That would probably be my three. Maybe sleep more than hydration, and then mobility work. But yeah, those top three for like quality of life, like hacks. That's what, Oh man. So but yeah, so I'm just thinking about getting into like, what can I do? What could be some fun drills? Some things I want to get off the internet, put the phone down. Well, the phone could be the camera in a lot of situations. And just be making stuff, be, writing stuff, playing music. I want to be making, to get off the internet. There's no good comes from it, like, you see the crap that happens in the political world, whatever side you're on, you're either on the right side or, you're a fascist at this point, apparently, because there's no middle ground anymore. But it's just like, there's nothing I do affects that. I can vote. I can do that. I can, that's the thing, is I don't think politicians should be servants. They're not rock stars. They should not be looked up to. They should not be influencers, liking their tweets, retweeting their tweets, typing my political hot takes. It does nothing, There's no benefit, you're screaming into the void. So it's like, if you're not gonna put up money or put up time to get people out to vote, like, that's really all you can do. You can volunteer for campaigns to get people like registered to vote and get them to vote, if you're driving people to the polls or whatever. I don't think there's a lot you can do, I mean, there is something to be said for like, political opinion in this way and all that stuff, and everybody's voice matters. And so, but like, you're gonna do that, even if you're like trying your hardest to stay away from it, you're gonna get engaged. If you're paying even a little bit of attention, you're gonna trust me, you're doing enough of that stuff. So if you're not boots to the ground, out in the world, face to facing with people, you're probably not doing a lot, with the Twitter activism. It probably doesn't feel good for people to hear that sometimes, and people will argue with me about that. But I'm like, I think, like, the only real thing that's moving the needle is like sweat equity, like currency equity, and violence, for lack of a better term, and it's like, that's not the one you want to go to. But like, if you look in the history of the world, this is more of a wide shot. I'm not saying anybody should go be violent, but like, wars are fought over political differences, and that's what changes things in some places. So, but if, before you hit that ground, but then at the same time, you could say a lot about, disinformation and how that has like radicalized a lot of people. So maybe I'm wrong about that, but at the same time, it's like, could you ever hope to fight disinformation on a meaningful level? Because the people that are spreading the disinformation are rich, they have the money, and they are paying people to sow it. So unless you're like a dank meme maker and you can make dank memes, and that's, I think, but at the same time, and this goes completely against what I was just saying, but I think one of the most important things that could be done that isn't necessarily being done is making, like, what I like to call glancing blows of a meme. So when you think about social justice people and the people that are, SJWs, even though that's kind of a pejorative term, I don't know if there's a better term for that, for the people appreciate being called, but we're going to call them that, and I don't mean any disrespect, but social justice warriors will often talk about like micro microaggressions. And for the longest time, people are like, yeah, PC police, whatever, but it is like, that is how you move the needle. It is just death by 1,000 cuts. It's like, you hear it enough times, and it's just these pinpricks, and it's just like, did, you know? And so it's like, I feel like if you're on the progressive side, a lot of progressive memes tend to be heavy-handed, and it's more of an echo chamber. There's not as much as of that. It's like you're with us or you're not, which is fair because by any measure, the progressive side has it right. You know, if you're, because I'll tell you my politics. I don't like to get involved with politics that much, which I know is a privileged thing to say. I am fiscal conservative. That's it. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of things in this world, and especially in our country, that don't make any sense from a fiscal standpoint. And what I mean by that is, when you look at the long-term game, and we should be playing the long game, a lot of fiscal conservatism is playing the short game, and it is very short-sighted, because that's a lot of fiscal things on the whole spectrum, even in the business world, is so narrow-minded and short-sighted. Take, for example, like homeless people. It costs more to have homeless people than it would to just get them all in housing and therapy and all that stuff. That would cost less than having unchecked homelessness on the streets. Like, there's studies that prove this. Same with like drug users. It's better to have the drugs be legal and then treat it like a mental health issue and get those people off the addiction, and also to tax the income and crush the black market. You know, there's studies, people have tried it, it's been wildly successful. And so I guess it's less of a fiscal conservatancy thing and more of a scientific method of like, these people have tried it, we should try it too because they have been successful. Can we replicate that success? And that we progress. And so often I feel like people are stuck on this like, oh, the handouts, and you're like, yeah, I could see that you're mad because like you worked hard and this person did drugs and now they're getting a free house. But like, have you been to those houses, man? Like, that's not a place you want to be. But like, at the same time, like, again, if you have to treat it like you're maybe neurotypical or you're on the spectrum, not to the point where you could become homeless. You might have a safety net in your family. Like, these people didn't have that, or their illness was at such a depth that they just crashed right through that whatever safety net they did have. So it's like, we need to help people obviously live their best life, and at the same time, like, having these insanely rich people doesn't make sense. Like, Bill Gates is just kind of starting, Warren Buffett, they're starting to come around to it. I think then they're realizing how bad it is that they have hoarded all this money and now they're starting to spend it on good causes, which good for them. But you still have like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, for, all his, he is pushing a lot of scientific progress, so that's good. But there's still like loud people out in the hallway. But between like this high echelon and then like still 1% people, there's this gap of all these people who are just ladder climbers. They're not contributing anything to society in any meaningful, real way. So, man, this got political. I don't like talking politics. I don't think it's relaxing. It just gets me fired up. But I guess a lot of my ASMR is about getting fired up, so, so it goes, right? But the takeaway is, I think think a lot of things are just not. Just a lot of the politics is just help the people out, especially when it costs us less money to help them. That's it. You know, if long term, that's, you know what? If I could pull everything I just said back, is to think about the long term. That's something our country doesn't. You know, these people are trying to get reelected, just like CEOs are trying to keep their job. They're trying not to get fired by the board. They're just get the earnings. Just they see it of like, get it to the next quarter, get to the next quarter, get to the next quarter, get to the next election, get to the next election. You know, and just that short-sightedness, in a short, 20 years, has just torched our country. So, that's my hot take on politics, I guess. Yeah. So, I'm going to sign off on that note and just urge you, please think about your future. Think about the things you do daily and how a small thing you change could change how the trajectory of your life ends up. If it's, oftentimes you see the financial advice for young people is like, oh, if you get coffee every day, burp, 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 burp. And it's like, well, yeah, they have a point to a degree. It's like, if you don't spend that $5 every day, that does add up. And a lot of people I know are like, oh, wow, that's like $1,000 a year. Whew. But if you took that same $5 and you put it into an investment, if you get on, like, again, I'm not giving you any codes. I'm not trying to sell you anything. Robinhood, this app on your phone, makes it very easy to get into investing. You don't buy that coffee, or maybe you just buy one size smaller. You take the difference, the dollar, and you go put that dollar into your Robinhood account, and you can buy fractional shares. And you could get some Google, you could get some Coca-Cola, you could get some, you could get ETFs. I still gotta do that video about investment ladders. Google ETFs. I'll give you the short version. They're exchange traded funds. Essentially, it's an organization that takes money, buys a lot of stock, and if the stock market in general goes up, your ETF will go up. Your money will become worth more. So if you could take that dollar a day, $365, you're dropping it in the market every day. But at the end of the year, you got a couple shares of some things. If it goes up, 5-10%, your $365 comes, like $390. That doesn't sound like much. But if you do it again the next year, now you have $700. And you do it again the next year, and now you have $1,200. And you do it again the next year. And it starts to accumulate and compound. And time is the best asset you have on your side. So please consider investing and building that wealth and thinking long term, and drop one bad habit, pick up one good habit. Think of it in a couple different ways. Park in the back of the parking lot, get the diet soda, which, do like a swing like that. Just boom, spend one less dollar, invest one more dollar. That's a $2 swing. That's $700 at the end of the year. Think of it that way. And you can think of it, drop the candy bar, pick up something healthy, or don't eat the snack. That's a $400. That's a 400 calorie swing. Park in the back of the lot. Don't eat the candy bar. And then that's, parking in the back of the lot. If you do it every time and you take the stairs, that adds up. That's probably, 600-700 calorie swing. If you just did that, you lose like a pound a week. Like, think about compound. One small bad habit, cut it. One good habit, add it. Tiny little things. And they stack, and you'll be surprised in a year what you can do. So, that's my big push for you. I hope you're doing well. I hope this video finds you well. And if not, well, we're gonna dig our way out. And we're gonna make this year a good one. We're gonna fuck this year in the mouth. We're gonna all gas, no brakes it. And we're gonna do good. And we're gonna have a good year. And things are gonna be different. I can feel it. I have faith in you. Let's do it, okay? Have a good one. I'll see you next time.